This is Christy Berry. Today we're going to talk about gut feelings and exploring the gut brain connection for mental wellness. Unfortunately, we tried to do this live and my internet connection was in and out, so I'm just recording this and hopefully you guys can learn as much as you can. If you have questions, I'll put a section underneath this in our school platform and you can ask all the questions you want. Alrighty then. So, gut feelings. How does my gut affect my brain? There is an intricate connection between several parts that all impact our mental wellness. You will learn about each of these topics and the role that they play in our gut health and how they can influence our mental well-being. The vagus nerve, the enteric nervous system, the microbiome, micronutrients in our diet, and exercise all impact our mental well-being. These intricate connections are being researched all the time, and what they're highlighting is that there's huge importance in holistic approach to mental health. Our lifestyle choices, such as maintaining a healthy diet, staying physically active, and managing our stress, can all collectively contribute to a healthier gut-brain axis, and in so doing, improve our overall well-being. Let's talk a little bit about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body, and it's also one of the most complex nerves. It connects the brain to various organs, including our gut, and it plays a crucial role in the communication between the gut and the brain. Stimulation of the vagus nerve has been studied for its potential in impacting our mood and reducing inflammation. It communicates, as you can see here, with the diaphragm, various organs between the brain and the gut. It impacts our mood, it lowers our heart rate and our blood pressure, and it manages the fear response, the fight or flight response, or sometimes that gut feeling that we have. There's also the enteric nervous system. Now, this includes the vagus nerve. It's a complex network of neurons. It controls our digestive system. It can operate independently of the central nervous system. It's often called the second brain. It influences our mood, our emotions, controls motor function and blood flow. It helps with mucus transport and secretions, and modulates immune function and modulates endocrine function. Something really interesting, people come to me all the time and they're like, I have like sinus infections all the time. We get their gut healthy, the mucus secretions decrease. And so this is a direct connection to all of our sinus issues and colds that we get. It's very, very interesting. So this is referred to as the second brain. It's operates independently of the nervous system, and it's been implicated in influencing mood and emotions. And you can see a picture that found within the walls of the entire GI tract is this ganglia or collection of neurons that are constantly communicating between the brain and all of the other areas of our body. So, gut brain axis? Yep. Gut everything axis. Well, as you can see here, our microbiome is in communication or helps with communication with everything in our body. So our gut has a distinct connection to every part of our body. So what is the human microbiome? That's the $5,000 question. What is known? We know that there are 25 different phyla, 2,000 different genera, 5,000 different species, 80 metagenomic mapabilities, 316 million genes, and we don't know what we don't know. There are unknowns still in the microbiome that we're not aware of. There are hidden things and strains that we haven't learned about. 20% of the sequences of diversity don't match the microbial genomes that we currently know. The gut microbiome refers to this diverse community of microorganisms. They live in our gastrointestinal tract, and research suggests that the composition and the balance of the microbiome can absolutely influence various aspects of our physical and mental health, including our mood, anxiety, and our stress levels. But take a look at this. The microbiome, it's hard to see that picture. I wish we could see it closer. The microbiome is a genetic material of all the microbes, bacteria, fungus, protozoa, and viruses that live on the outside and the inside of our body. We have 30 trillion cells in our body, and yet there are over 100 trillion microbial cells. The microbiome helps with our digestion, regulates our immune system, protects against bacteria that cause disease, produces vitamins along with vitamin B vitamins and vitamin K. And if you look there at the tiny picture on the right, you'll see the human genes. We've got 22,000 human genes, and honest to goodness, microbial genes, we've got approximately 2 million. A lot more microbe genes than there are human genes in our body. But what's even better to know is that the microbiome isn't just in our gut. It's on our skin, it's in our stomach, our intestines, our urogenital area. We have it in our mouth, our respiratory system, around our heart. The microbiome has several distinct smaller microbiomes in various parts of the body. So, the largest one, of course, is in our gut. And when the gut becomes out of balance, the others become out of balance as well. So, one of the things that I have experienced recently in the last couple of years is a lot of people coming to me. They had gut health issues and now they have interstitial cystitis. That means that the lining in the bladder is also beginning to become broken down, and so it's very painful. And for those of you that have it, you understand. But the bottom line is, if the gut microbiome is not healthy, the other microbiomes are not either. They are linked and connected. They might have completely different sets of microbes, but they are linked, and when one is not healthy, all of them become out of balance. This is called dysbiosis. Big fancy name for your microbiome not being in balance. So one of the ways that we fix this, and a lot of doctors will say, go get a probiotic at the health food store. And yeah, probiotics are awesome and they are very important. The microbiome is made of probiotics, or good bacteria. However, not all strains or not all probiotics are the same. Some have a few strains. This is a picture of a couple of good ones on the market. And some have a lot of strains. If you have probiotics at home, go ahead and take a look at your bottle and look at the back and count how many strains yours has. I've got backs of a couple here. One has one strain of good bacteria and one strain of a prebiotic, which we'll talk about in a minute. Another one has 10 strains, another one has 11 strains, and the one that we usually recommend has 40 strains. Now, why is this important? You have over 400 different strains just in your gut alone. And if there are 400 strains and you only get one strain over and over and over, then you're not replenishing the breakdown or the dysbiosis. Many times we have to fight with Candida to keep Candida under control. And in order to do that, we have to have multiple strains of good bacteria and not just one kind. So the way our gut works is we've got a strain, 400 strains or 400 different strains of good bacteria. But each place that we live, let's say we live in the United States, which many of us do, and we have about 170 to 180 larger strain colonies. And those colonies are specific to where we live. Let's say we go down to Mexico. You've all heard of Montezuma's Revenge, right? Well, what happens is when we go to another location, we don't have the strains necessary to keep us from getting sick in those new places. One of my clients came in and she had some issues. And what she found out was she had gone to another country and she had eaten there. And some of the things she came home with were parasites that her microbiome was not prepared to manage. And if we're here in the United States, our microbiome manages the things we encounter here in the United States and not necessarily the bacteria and things that we encounter in other countries. That means that if you're in a different country, you need to find a large segment of strain bacteria or eat, and this is what happens in most countries, eat fermented foods. Now, one last thing about probiotics. There was some research back a couple years ago that showed if you take a low strain or single strain or a small number of strains in a probiotic over a year's time, that it actually can cause small intestine bacterial overgrowth, also known as SIBO. You might have heard of that. Well, long-term, good bacteria not getting enough combination or enough variety or diversity can actually cause a worsening gut health issue. So I just thought this was hilarious. Doctor, talking to this lady says, hey, you might want to cut back on those probiotics. She is turning into a probiotic. So we want to avoid SIBO. So it's real important that we keep up a large diversity of good bacteria as we rebuild our gut. So micronutrients. Now we already know the importance of vitamins and minerals and amino acids. Amino acids are converted from protein, by the way. Phytonutrients aren't as well studied. Prebiotic and probiotics, which we've just talked about. So there are certain micronutrients, such as vitamins and minerals and amino acids, that are essential for proper brain function and mental health. Our brain is the hungriest organ in our body. It takes 35 to 40% of the vitamins and minerals that we absorb, the brain uses. All the rest of the other 60 to 65% of your nutrition feeds the entire rest of your body. Your muscles, your organs, everything is all using just 60 to 65%. The rest is going to your brain. Very hungry organ. Needs all of that to function properly. An imbalance in the nutrients can affect our mood and our cognitive function. And it's important that the foods we consume have a lot of good diversity and a lot of good nutrients. So it's important to eat those good vegetables and good fruits and good proteins because they're important if they have a high level of nutritional value. If you eat those carbs, the simple carbs like bread and sugary foods and processed foods are really not healthy because processed foods end up being very poor in nutrition, and they turn to sugar and they end up feeding the bad bacteria and the candida that lives in our gut, and it makes the imbalance happen. We also aren't getting enough nutrition to keep our mind and our brain, our bodies healthy. The foods we consume have a very profound effect and impact on our gut and subsequently on our mental health. A balanced and diverse diet, rich in fiber, probiotics can support our healthy gut microbiome and in turn positively affects our mood and our cognitive function. So let's talk a little bit about each of those. Vitamins. We know the body needs vitamins. There are lots of different ones. I do want you to understand, though, that the daily value percentage that we see on our packaging is not enough to improve mental health. It's only enough to avoid disease. The brain, again, is our hungriest organ, and dysbiosis causes malabsorption. Poor food choices and low nutrient foods are also a danger to absorbing good vitamins and minerals. So we know that the body needs vitamins in order to boost our immune system, increase our energy level, improve our mood, reduce our anxiety and stress, you may not have known that, improve our short-term memory, and give us good muscle strength. Minerals. Now, again, another one of those things we know that our body needs all of the minerals, and there are trace minerals that the body needs that it can't produce on its own. We need this from our diet. These minerals help to improve nerve function, keep our muscles in good tone, supply our bones and our teeth with good calcium. They help our cardiovascular system. They help us control cell fluid and hydration, and they turn food into energy. Amino acids, a lot of people don't know what those are, but amino acids are basically food that is protein that the body turns into amino acids. Now, what do amino acids do? They break down our food, they grow and repair body tissue, they make hormones and brain chemicals, they provide an energy source, they maintain our skin, hair, and nails, they help us build muscle, they boost our immune system, and they sustain our digestive system. Foods that are high in amino acids are beef, poultry, any meat, beef, poultry, seafood, eggs, dairy products, quinoa, tofu, buckwheat, hemp seeds, protein or pumpkin seeds, peanut butter, chickpeas, amaranth, and spinach are all very high in amino acids. Amino acids also help rebuild our gut microbiome and are very, very important to our overall health. So one of the things that are not as readily known about are phytonutrients. Now, I'm sure you've all heard, hey, everybody needs to eat all the different colors. And you're thinking, I don't know, what's purple? Well, the phytonutrients are the nutrients that come in our vegetables and our fruits. And we don't know much about them. Science doesn't know much about them. They know that there are hundreds of different phytonutrients, and many of them we have not even identified. There are a few common ones, and you can see those here. But the key piece is we need to have 50% of our diet as fruits and vegetables. 50%. That means breakfast, you should have fruit and vegetables. Lunch, you should have fruits and vegetables. Dinner, you should have fruits and vegetables. Now, you don't have to eat them all, fruits and vegetables, at the same time, but the majority of Americans don't eat enough fruits and vegetables, unless you count French fries. They don't really count. They eat a lot of those. But looking at all of the other types of vegetables and fruits that you can get that are just very colorful, and you can see here there are benefits to each and every color of food. They all do different things. So phytonutrients that come in, you can see here in red foods and blue foods, special phytonutrients in green foods, white foods, orange foods, all of these, and they are so different and they affect our body so differently that it's important that we look for different colors as we eat. Now, One thing that we hear a lot about is prebiotics. Prebiotics is basically just fiber that are found in different foods. There are 4 basic types of fiber. There's fructooligosaccharides, FOS, galactooligosaccharides, GOS, transgalactooligosaccharides, TOS, and inulin. Most of the time we see inulin as an additive to things that have high fiber. But each of these different types of fiber do different things in our body, and all of them are necessary. It's important to get high fiber foods in every day, and it's more important that you get those fiber foods in to your daily diet in a natural way, which means through your food. Why do we need the vitamins, the minerals, the phytonutrients, all of these different things? Well, let's just look at one metabolic process. So, this is tryptophan metabolism. This is one. This tryptophan, when we eat a food that has tryptophan is an amino acid that comes from certain meat. When you have that tryptophan in your diet, you eat it, and it does 2 things. Number 1, it gets absorbed through the intestinal wall and turns into several things that our bodies need. And it also interacts with a diverse microbiome and turns into some other things that our body needs. So this tryptophan is key in creating a chemical called serotonin, which is what we use to feel good, right? It's our feel-good drug, our feel-good chemical. Now, how do we make that chemical? So we eat the protein. It gets broken down in our body. It's absorbed in the intestinal wall. It blends and connects and mixes with iron, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, vitamin B6, and folic acid to make 5-HTP. 5-HTP is another chemical that is made. 5-HTP then connects, blends, and mixes with vitamin B6, vitamin C, zinc, and magnesium to create serotonin. What does serotonin do? Serotonin influences learning, memory, happiness. It regulates our body temperature, our sleep, our mood, our digestion, our sexual behavior, wound healing, bone health, and hunger. But even better, when it connects and mixes with niacin, riboflavin, both of those are B vitamins, and molybdenum, which is a mineral, they work together to produce melatonin. We all like melatonin. It helps us sleep and it regulates our sleep-awake cycle. So another thing that happens when tryptophan is absorbed through the intestinal wall is that it mixes and blends with riboflavin, copper, and calcium. When it mixes with those, it creates kynurenine. Kynurenine is important and integral to our neurological health, our immune response, our brain function, and our muscle energy metabolism. Very important. Finally, if tryptophan mixes with a diverse microbiome and then becomes connected to and mixed with vitamin B1, riboflavin, niacin, calcium, iron, potassium, and zinc, it creates a chemical or several chemicals called indoles. Indoles balance our hormones. They give us good breast health. They detoxify our liver and intestines. They support our immune system, and they help synthesize protein and amino acids, which is important. Now, this is only one of our amino acids. There are 22 amino acids. So can you imagine how many vitamins and minerals you should be getting in order to make all the chemicals that our body needs in order to function in a healthy manner? I'll tell you what, let's just laugh about it. What do you call an acid with an attitude? It's amino acid. But you can tell there's a lot of information, there's a lot of connection. Those vitamins, those minerals, those phytonutrients, we didn't even talk about how the phytonutrients interact in the process of making the chemicals necessary and the neurotransmitters necessary for our bodies to function properly. Let's talk a little bit about exercise. So, regular physical activity has also been linked to improvements in mental health. It can influence our gut microbiome and promote the release of good neurotransmitters and endorphins that contribute to positive mood. In doing so, it improves our mental health, our microbiome, our neurotransmitters, our endorphins, reduces stress, depression, and anxiety. Now, most of the time, people ask me, well, what should I do for exercise? Once I start working with people and they start having a little bit better energy, and those of you that have worked with me, you know that little bit better energy, you start feeling like, hey, I want to start doing something. So the research shows that 3 to 5, 30 to 40 minute sessions of moderate to vigorous exercise per week appear to deliver the most optimal mental health benefits. In some cases, high intensity is more effective. Alternating strength and resistance training with cardiovascular and aerobic exercise is the best way to do this. There are also suggestions for mindfulness activities like yoga and Tai Chi, which have been found to be better than walking. Team sports, cycling, aerobic, or gym exercises are the top forms of exercise associated with about 20% fewer poor mental health days a month. So there is one little bit of concern. More exercise is not always better. I remember a client who came in, she says, I have exercised and I can't get this weight off and I don't feel good and I'm depressed. And okay, so let's see why that's happening. We need to evaluate how we're feeling each day. This has been adapted from a couple of different sources, but each day evaluate where you are at. Let's say you're tired, you feel like you just can't keep things going. Maybe you have some anxiety or some sadness or hopelessness. Maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed and you're tired and you maybe have some aches and pains. Maybe sometimes you feel like others are just not competent. And you just kind of want to just be by yourself a lot. Maybe you don't want to interact with friends, family, or your coworkers. Sometimes it's hard to stay asleep. Sometimes it's hard to get to sleep. You're noticing that you're having difficulty making decisions or concentrating, and that your thoughts are going everywhere. And maybe you're restless, and you find that you just do better if you have a glass of wine before bed. Or maybe, some carbs. Maybe you're craving some carbs. Maybe you're craving those chips or bread or, maybe even sweets. Well, if you're feeling like that, that would be the struggling line. You can see there we have thriving, surviving, struggling, and in crisis. Well, if you're feeling like that, aerobics is a better choice for you that day. If you're in crisis, yoga and stretching is a better option. And if you're just feeling like you're surviving and things just aren't right, strength training might be a better option for you. And the reason is because each of these spaces in our body where we're at is all chemical, and each of these exercises produce a different chemical makeup. And so it puts less stress on your body if you do these types of exercises, and will actually help your mental health better in the long run. So I suggest you print up this little chart and put it on your mirror or your refrigerator, and just before you go out to do your exercises, make sure you double check. What am I doing today? Where am I at? Has it been a rough week? Am I barely in survival mode? Or am I in crisis? Or have I got this? I'm in thriving mode and I'm calm and I'm steady and I'm going to go hike and then I'm going to go work out at the gym. I can do whatever I want. Go play baseball with my friends. All right. I think it's really important for us to realize that our body responds differently depending on what's going on. Every single situation, every single day, you are having a different response. And so being able to go back and say, what is my response today? Am I a little panicky today? Is my anxiety up? Or am I feeling really good today and I have lots of energy and I'm ready to go take on the world? Do a little self-evaluation just to make sure that you're getting the best exercise. Now, sometimes we crave sweets, sometimes we crave carbs, maybe not sweet carbs, maybe just carbs, salty ones a lot of times. And that means that your adrenals are not working as well and you're probably somewhere in the yellow or red zone. Don't eat those carbs. They make you feel good. That's what they're there for. They produce dopamine, but they're not healthy for us. And they will cause weight gain because at this point, if you're stressing, then your body's going to take every little bit of food and it's going to turn it into weight to have for an emergency response in case something's happening and you don't, and your body doesn't get a chance to eat. Because if you're really running from a tiger, you can't stop and eat. So if it's your adrenals, if you're finding your libido is running a little bit low, if you're finding that you're not hungry when you get up in the morning, if you're finding that you're craving those salty carbs, I would suggest that you start doing some special things to help your adrenals. And for those of you who have taken my courses and my classes, eat your dinner for breakfast and your breakfast for dinner. So my final thing I want to give for you today is your brain and your gut talking. Your brain is saying, I don't care if you aren't hungry. I want some freaking serotonin. We need to eat. Even if you're not hungry, you need to eat. Your brain needs minerals. Your brain needs vitamins. Your brain needs all of these items in order to be healthy and to be able to function at its best. All right. Well, that's all I have for you today. I'm sorry we couldn't do this live. I hope that you'll ask some questions below in the questions section and we can have a conversation about our gut. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a healthy day.